Hello, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Raquel and we are here for my July reading wrap up. This month was amazing for me. I think this was the best reading month I have ever had. I feel like left and right I'm getting a 5-star read. I now have a new favorite book of all time that I discovered this month. I also have a new favorite romance book of all time. So very, very great reading month for me. So I started out really strong. I think I finished this July 1st. Maybe July 2nd, but I read it all in one single day and I was obsessed from page 1, and that is Archer's Voice by Mia Sheridan. I have been contemplating reading this for the longest time. I would take it off my TBR and put it back on. I constantly was taking it off and adding it back on Goodreads, and I just couldn't decide if I wanted to read it. It was one of those books like, okay, I'll see what people are talking about because so many people seem to like it. And oh my God, this is so good. Like, this is my favorite romance book ever, okay? I might have talked about this in my last video. I can't remember, but if you're not familiar, this book is about a girl named Bree who has like a lot of stuff going on in her life, and she decides to kind of run away from it all and ends up in this town in Maine. And she ends up running into Archer Hale. Archer Hale has a very disturbed past. So many terrible things have happened to Archer, including the fact that he is mute. He cannot speak because of an accident that happened to him a long time ago, and he is very much a town outcast. No one ever really takes the time to get to know him or befriend him, and he is very lonely and just very unaware of how the world works. And Bree just is able to understand him and communicate with him and become really his first real friend, and she just shows him the way of the world and helps him understand how things work, and their friendship becomes this epic love story. And oh my gosh, I was swooning the whole time. I love Archer Hale. He is so sweet. And then this book at the end, I had to put the book down, go to my bathroom and cry hysterically. It was so sad, and I just had I don't know that I've ever had some book make me feel this visceral response where I just felt the hurt and the pain deep inside my bones. And I don't know how to describe it. That's dramatic, I understand that. But this is my new favorite romance book. 5 stars, obviously. Next, I read another hit, was People on Vacation by Emily Henry. This was my 3rd book by Emily Henry, and I can officially say I'm a fan. I love her writing. Her banter between her characters reminds me so much of Gilmore Girls. I used to love that show because Lorelai and Rory had this really funny, witty banter back and forth, and I really get that fix in her books. I think her books are so funny, and I don't know, I just really vibe with her writing, and every book that I've read from her has been a hit. So this one is about Alex and Poppy. They met when they were in college. They were just friends, and they decided that they were going to go on vacations every year together. And we get 2 dual timelines in this. We get one timeline, which is when they met and every single summer vacation they had every year after that. And then we have the now timeline where they are going on a vacation together, but they have not spoken in a very long time, and they're no longer friends. And this is just this weird vacation that they're going on to try to see if they can salvage that friendship. And just, I loved it. It was so good. It was so funny. It was emotional. And I just really loved seeing all the different places they went on vacation, and all the little inside jokes that come out throughout the years. And I don't know, I really, really liked this a lot. Absolutely 5 stars. The next book I read, I actually listened to it on audio, but I did buy it because I liked it. But it is The Goal by Elle Kennedy. It is the 4th book in the Off-Campus series. If you're not familiar with that series, it is about 4 hockey players who live in this house off campus, and each hockey player gets their own book. So this is the 4th one. This is a book about, obviously, one of the hockey players, John Tucker. I cannot listen to his name without thinking of the movie John Tucker Must Die. And so that's what I was picturing the whole time. When I'm picturing John Tucker, I'm literally thinking of John Tucker from the movie, if you've ever seen that. So, but it's John Tucker and Sabrina. Sabrina is a girl that's kind of very much disliked by the other guys in the off-campus house. And so they end up having this one-night stand thing that ends up in a pregnancy, and just kind of how they end up dealing with that. I'm a fan of the pregnancy trope. I didn't think that I was gonna like that when I first started reading, but everyone that I've read, I've absolutely loved. I just love seeing how male main characters just like very much take care of the girl while she's pregnant and just show her all the love and the care and the support, and then the way they are with their little babies, it just makes me swoon. I love it so much. This was a very close second to The Deal. The Deal is the first book in this series and has my whole heart, but this was very close. I gave it a 4.5 stars. Okay, and then the universe decided you've had too many good books and it's time to even things out a little bit. So then I read A Not So Meet Cute by Megan Quinn, and I didn't really like it very much. I mean, it's enjoyable enough to finish it. Like, I got through it and it was a decent enough storyline and some of the things were kind of funny, but overall I did not like this. I didn't like the writing. I think some of the things that were an attempt to be funny were not very funny to me. I liked the guy, Huxley, in this book, but I did not like the girl, Lottie. So basically the whole premise of this book is there's a billionaire, right? Huxley is a billionaire and he is in this business with his brothers and he's trying to make a deal with somebody that's gonna get them a lot of money, and the guy just won't make a deal because Huxley doesn't seem very personable, and he accidentally says that he has a pregnant fiance at home, and he does not. So he needs to find someone that can pretend to be his pregnant fiance really quickly for this upcoming dinner. And there just so happens to be Lottie. Lottie is a girl with kind of nothing going on in her life. She is just now trying to find somewhere to live. She's broke. She just kind of doesn't have much going on for her. And she is out randomly in a neighborhood looking for a rich guy. And she finds one. So yeah, I thought that was kind of cheesy, and Lottie is really annoying. I got through it, I finished it. I didn't absolutely hate my reading time, but yeah, I don't know. I do own the other 2 books in this series. This is a series of 3 because there are 3 brothers. I feel guilty that I own them, and I feel like I should read them because I own them, but I don't want to continue reading these. So I haven't decided if I'm going to continue this series or not, but I'm definitely not going to be reading the second one anytime soon. I gave this 3.75 stars, and I think that's kind of generous. I think now, thinking back at it, maybe like a 3. The next book that I picked up was If We Were Villains by ML Rio. This book is not what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was just going to be a thriller, which it is, but it's just different. It's just not what I expected. And while I can recognize how well written and well put together this book is and how great it is, I don't think that I am the intended audience for this book. This book follows, I believe it's 7 people. There are 7 people that we read about in this book, and they are all going to this very elite College of Arts. So I'm kind of picturing like Juilliard, but it's very small. It seems very like exclusive, very tiny, kind of quaint college. And these 7 people are the only people in the 4th year of this college. And the theater department in this college only does Shakespeare plays. They don't do anything else besides Shakespeare. We kind of have one main timeline, which is the past, and then we get glimpses of the now, where one of these characters was in jail for like 10 years for a crime. It doesn't say what the crime is at the beginning. You don't find that out until a little bit later. But at the beginning of this book, the detective that had put this kid in jail is like, hey, I'm retiring. This is completely off the record. I just gotta know like what happened. And so the whole book is this now convict explaining to this detective what really happened all those years ago. This book has a lot of Shakespeare in it, which is why I think I feel like it's a little too pretentious for me. I can appreciate Shakespeare. I've read a few of his plays like in high school and stuff, but I think that there was just so much Shakespeare that it kind of just took me out of the story, and I don't know, just really wasn't for me. But I do appreciate it. But with that being said, I gave it a 3.75. The next book I read, I also read on audio, but I loved it so much that I immediately ordered it. Like, I don't even think I was finished with the book. I don't even think I was finished listening to it before I bought it. And that is Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. I had never read an Abby Jimenez book before. This was my first one, and I loved this so much. This is a book about Alexis. Alexis is a doctor. She comes from this long line of very famous doctors that have all like worked at this same hospital for years. Like there's never been a moment in history of this hospital that one of her family members hasn't worked there. And she has just had a pretty nasty breakup. Her ex-boyfriend is also a doctor at this hospital, and I can't remember exactly what his position is, but he is definitely an authority figure there. He's older than her and is a very important person at this hospital, but he's like very degrading to her and belittles her and kind of like has a lot of emotional abuse towards her, and she ends up breaking things off. And her parents are not supportive. They want her to get back with him. So she just feels not supported at all. And one night at the very beginning of this book, she is driving home from an event and her car kind of breaks down on the side of the road in this random town. And this guy offers to help kind of get her car towed to get it fixed. She ends up having a thing with this guy, and it's just supposed to be a fling because he is very blue collar, normal, average guy. Not anything at all that her parents would ever approve of. Like, she's not looking for anything serious. She just got out of a really bad relationship, and she's definitely not looking for anything else. But, you know, she obviously starts developing feelings, and the way that this man treats her, like, I think that was my favorite part. You know, I think with her ex-boyfriend, you could see that she relied on him so much. Like, nothing, like she was terrified to live alone or do anything because he had always taken care of that stuff for her. She was kind of a spoiled brat, not in a personality way, but like in her life. Like she had never like cooked for herself or cleaned for herself or, you know, knew how to handle things in the house. She doesn't know how to do any of that because someone had always done it for her. Like her parents would hire somebody to do that stuff when she was living with them. And then she moved in with her ex-boyfriend, Neil, and he would hire somebody and figure out all that stuff for her. She just never had to take care of herself in any kind of way. And now Daniel, the new guy that she meets in this tiny little town, just shows her how to take care of herself. It empowers her to do stuff like, let me show you how to fix a dishwasher. Let me show you how to, you know, like flip your breaker. Like, I don't know what that is either. But I think that it was so great that he empowered her and taught her and spent that quality time to show her how to care for herself and like be enough for herself. And it was just such a beautiful relationship and funny. I thought it was so funny. This little goat, I'm not even gonna explain it to you. Just read it and you will love looking at this cover afterwards. I loved this book. It was so good and I highly recommend it on audio. I loved it so much, 5 stars. The next book that I read was Mile High by Liz Tomford. And this one is about a professional hockey player, and he has a thing with his flight attendant on the team's jet. So I thought this book was really cute. We have a mid-size female main character, which I thought was really a nice breath of fresh air. I very much enjoy seeing real life in books, and not every woman is super beautiful and thin and petite like a lot of books make them seem. So I appreciated that there was a woman in here who is mid-size, who, I mean, this is how I'm picturing her based on, it never actually says she's mid-size, but that's how I am picturing her. She's very self-conscious about her body, and the main male character makes her feel so comfortable, makes her feel so sexy and wanted, and made her feel really good about herself, and I love that so much. And then I also appreciated that they put some mental health representation for the male main character in here. I'm seeing that a lot more often, and I like that a lot. And while I thought the story was really cute, I don't know that there was anything super special or stand out about it. And I think it is really, really, really long for a contemporary romance. Like, this book is pushing like 500 pages or something. It's like 475 pages. And I don't know, I feel like it took me forever to read this. And I think the fact that I felt like it was just dragging a little bit, I don't know, I liked it. I gave it 4 stars, but not my absolute favorite, but it was cute. I would recommend. The next book that I read was on audio, and it is my new favorite book of all time. I'm not going to talk about it too much because I posted my vlog of reading this and I babbled on forever about it. So I'll try to keep it short and sweet, but I read The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. This book is incredible in all areas. The characters were amazing. The story was amazing. The writing was amazing. I loved everything about this and would never change a thing. And basically this book is about a girl about 300 years ago who is seeing all of her friends get married and have children and lead very boring lives. And they don't seem very happy, and she does not want that for herself. And so she makes a bargain with a creature who seems sort of like the devil or a demon or something like that. And she makes a deal with him, and she kind of becomes immortal. She can live as long as she would like to. And the only thing that he doesn't really tell her when they make that deal is that no one is ever going to remember her. So the second they turn away, or they go to sleep, or they, you know, shut a door in front of her, then they go to look at her again, they'll never remember her. So she can have this amazing connection with someone, and as soon as they fall asleep, they're not going to remember her again. And this story is just so powerful, and how what really makes us human if we can't leave any sort of mark on the world. We can't leave our legacy or our memories or form relationships, like true relationships with anyone. No friendships, no romantic relationships, no parent relationships. And it's just so sad. And it's so very thought-provoking. It makes you realize what is important about life and about being human. And while there was some romance in this book, which I appreciate, that was not the focus of this book. I would not go into it thinking that it's a romance. It's definitely not. But I loved kind of going back through the years, over the 300 years, and just seeing these little instances of how she deals with this curse and how she deals with the loneliness. And she is such a strong character. Addie is resilient and strong and determined and just so full of life, despite this horrible curse that's put upon her. And I loved everything about it. I'm wearing a shirt right now that says, "Never pray to the gods that answer after dark." I don't know if you can see that, but that is kind of a quote from the book. I'm obsessed. I am obsessed with this book. I immediately ordered a book on Amazon. It's a special edition, hasn't come in yet. Otherwise I will show you, but I'm so excited to own a copy of it. And I'm so excited already for when eventually I will reread it, because I loved it so much. 5 million stars. The next book that I read in July was The Lady Gets Lucky, which is my first real historical fiction romance book. And I thought it was really cute. It was about a girl, and she wants to get the attention of a guy so she can get married, because all the guys seem to be going after these very promiscuous, provocative kind of girls, and she just has no skills. And so she goes to the very known playboy and is like, "Hey, you seem to know how this whole seduction, provocative thing works. Can you please teach me?" And he's at first very hesitant to do that. Like, no, absolutely not. Like, I'm not supposed to be talking to, you know, these innocent virgin girls. Like, I promised I would stay away from you all. But he is trying to open up this restaurant, kind of supper club thing, and he needs some good recipes. And she just so happens to know this very famous chef, and she's a very, very good cook herself. So she gives him a recipe from this famous chef in return for a lesson in seduction, and they end up having a relationship. I thought it was really cute. It's definitely not, you know, the best book that I've ever read, but I enjoyed it, and I gave it a 3.75 stars. The next book that I read on audio was Yours Truly. This is kind of the second book in the Part of Your World series, connected standalone thing. I read Part of Your World and loved it so much I had to read Yours Truly, which takes place in the same kind of world. So Alexis from the first book has a best friend named Bree, and she's a doctor as well as this at the hospital where Alexis worked. And there is a new doctor, and he comes in. Why can I never remember this guy's name? I forgot his name in the last video too. Anyway, he starts working there, and they kind of hit it off, kind of become friends, and end up fake dating, which I love. I love fake dating. And obviously end up falling in love. Again, I'm not going to go into too much detail because I talked about it so much in my reading vlog, but ended up loving this one a lot. I ended up really, really liking it. I gave it a 5 stars. I think my unpopular opinion, I think everybody is loving Yours Truly even more than Part of Your World, and I think that I still prefer Part of Your World. I think if you're a reader and you read a lot, you know that there's like a 5-star, like perfect book in every way, brought out the emotion, great characters, great writing, 5 stars. But then there's like 5 stars, like it gave me all the feels, it hit me right here. And both books did that, but Part of Your World just hit a little bit harder for me. And Yours Truly is still 5 stars. I'm still super excited to explore Abby Jimenez's books in the future. But yeah, Part of Your World was amazing. And then I started reading Under Lock by Mariana Zapata, but I never did get to finish it in the month of July. So I will have to talk about that next month. But overall, this was like the best reading month I have ever had. And I have plans in August to start reading a lot more fantasy and more thrillers and things like that. So I really want to try to mix up the genre just so that it doesn't get old, because sometimes I feel like I read so many romances that even though I'm reading a fantastic one, I'm more critical just because, I don't know, the genre starts to meld together and I start to kind of like, things start running together. And so I feel like I appreciate it less. So I think I need some palate cleansers to break up the contemporary romance a little bit. So I'm not even gonna make a TBR because I never stick to it anyway. I don't think very many of these books at all were on my July TBR. So I don't know why I bother. I'll just let you know next month what I ended up reading. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.